So with your podcast and the House of Enlightenedhood, how has using the power of your voice helped you with your journey, with helping other women or now men?
Oh my gosh. I have reflected so much on this in the past few months, but my podcast has given me everything that I have in my life right now. In being the one to speak up and say the things that maybe no one wants to say or has too much shame to say or thinks that they're the only one experiencing. In doing that, I have not only found that I am definitely not the only one and have been able to validate so many other people's experiences, but also just find the people that I just resonate with on such a soul level. And I think that's just so important, because the more that we can use our voice and share our truth, the more the world gets to see who we truly are, and the more we get to find the people that align with who we truly are. And so it has helped me just be vulnerable too in every single aspect of my life. I feel like I'm more willing now in my day-to-day relationships to say those things, this really hurt me, or this is what I want, or this is what I need, or this is what I think and how I feel, and feeling more confident in having those conversations. And I think it's just a really beautiful ripple effect when we can use our voice and feel confident in that, because I definitely didn't in the first, maybe even 2-3 years. It took a really long time for me to just feel comfortable in just speaking. I think in the beginning of my podcast, I was really hypercritical about what I would say with the ums and the ands and, a few misspoken words. And I think that's part of the journey too, is realizing that no one is paying attention to those things except for you. And that's okay. And it's part of the learning to feel enough as you are and not feel like you have to be anything more than that. And I think using your voice and speaking is it's just the path that you go on. And it's really beautiful to have watched my words help someone else and resonate with someone else and give someone else that spark that they need to say, oh, I can do it too. And that just that at the end of the day, that's the most meaningful part of any of it.
Yes, because they're going to connect with you and your story and the way that you say things, because we all have our own unique perspective. So even if somebody else is saying, 100 other people could be saying the same thing, but that one person is going to connect with the way that you're talking about it, your story with it. And I also love what you said about worrying your first few podcast episodes about the ums and the ands, because if your first podcast episode is as good as your 100th, then you're not growing, you're not learning, you're not evolving.
Yep.
Your first one is supposed to suck.
Yes, that is very true.
Your first anything. That's how you learn, though, is you keep doing.
Yes, exactly. But we're sold such, everything has to be perfect or else it's not worth putting out there, which is just
true. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I don't want that perfectly cultivated thing anymore. I want a real person. That's who I connect with. Like,
we're all craving authenticity in a world with filters and just seeing everyone's highlight reels. And I think too, for anyone listening who maybe questions that it has to be perfect or you have to say all the right things, the best feedback that I have gotten on my podcast and the episodes that resonate the most with people are me just talking about my story or things that are happening in my life. And I think we need that human connection. And so I think being able to find that balance between sharing who you really are as a human and that authenticity mixed in with your wisdom is just the way to go. And I think we've almost with Instagram have so much like people just yelling at us and telling us what to do all the time, when we're like, no, we just want to connect on a human level and know that our stories and our experiences are worthy. And to see that in someone who we admire and who's doing the things that we want to do, I think is really, really important.
Yes, to see that they're human too. They're not perfect.
Exactly.
They make mistakes, and it makes you feel better when you can connect with other people who have the same experience.
Yes.